Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to a special edition of BronxTalk. We come to you tonight from the Lehman College Black Box Theater for the Lehman College Bronx Borough President Candidate Forum, presented by Lehman College, the Lehman College Department of Journalism and Media Studies, and the Lehman Multimedia Center, and of course, Bronxnet Television. The Democratic primary is on Tuesday, June 24th. The early voting period is from Saturday, June 14th through Sunday, June 22nd. For more information, including deadlines for absentee ballots, please visit vote.nyc. Now let's meet the candidates who are with us tonight. Welcome to Borough President Vanessa Gibson. Nice to see you. Please, the applause. And to Rafael Salamanca, Jr., the council member from the 17th Council District in the Bronx. Thank you for joining us. Candidates in tonight's forum, all of the topics were selected and the questions were written by students from the Department of Journalism and Media Studies at Lehman College. In fact, 2 of those students will be your questioners tonight. They're sitting right in front of you. Please join me in welcoming Eamon Dilawar. Nice to have you with us. I'm hoping your classmates will cheer for you. And also Jovan Figueroa. Thank you, Jovan, for joining us. Candidates in tonight's program, they'll direct a question to one candidate. That candidate will have 90 seconds to respond, and then the other candidate will get 90 seconds to respond to the same question. Candidates will receive 30 and 15-second verbal time announcements by our timekeeper, Lehman journalism student Angelica Martinez Navarrete, who's sitting over here. You will hear her voice. And one other important note, tonight's program is presented as a forum to inform the voting public about you and your campaigns. It is not a debate. We don't ask for any rebuttals or anything of that sort. There will be time to do that later on in the campaign season. Please note, we will give you 60 seconds for an opening statement, and at the end of the program, each candidate will have 1 minute to offer a concluding statement. By prior agreement, we did flip a coin backstage, and Councilmember Salamanca will deliver his first opening statement. Sir, you have 60 seconds.
All right, good morning, and thank you for having me here. You know, as I travel all 4 corners of the borough of the Bronx, I'm constantly asked 3 questions. Are you better off financially today than you were 3 years ago? Is food more expensive? Do you feel safe when you leave your home and you're going to the bodega or to church or taking public transportation? Our families are paying more and getting less, and yet we keep hearing the same promises without real results. I'm a product of the South Bronx. I'm born and raised here, and I'm currently raising my 10-year-old son here. I've had the privilege to serve as a New York City council member for the last 9 years. The last 9 years, I've been able to bring over $400 million to the South Bronx, $35 million to my public schools, $30 million to my playgrounds, over $20 million to my libraries, really focusing in on the investment and regarding the disinvestment in the South Bronx. I've been able to bring and secure over $100 million of redevelopment for the Hunts Point produce markets. I've been able to build and approve over 10,000 units of 100% affordable housing. And I've closed 2 jails in the Hunts Point community. I'm running for borough president because Bronx families deserve leadership that fights for them, delivers results, and ensures that our borough remains a place where Bronx residents can raise their family and thrive. Thank you.
Thank you very much. We let it go for 90 seconds, so Borough President Gibson, you can use the same 90 seconds.
Thank you, Gary, and good evening, ladies and gentlemen. It's so great to be here at Lehman. I am a proud CUNY graduate myself, graduating from CUNY Baruch and SUNY Albany. I am a twofer, and I'm so proud of what SUNY and CUNY have done for me. For my entire professional career, I've been proud to represent our great borough of the Bronx, first as a member of the New York State Assembly, then as a member of the New York City Council, and now for the last 3 years serving as your Bronx Borough President, waking up every day on purpose with a purpose, realizing my assignment and my purpose in life, which is to make a difference in the lives of 1.4 million residents that live, work, and raise their families across our borough. I've dedicated my entire professional career to uplifting families in a real way, providing access and opportunity. $95 million over 3 budget years as borough president, dedicated to schools, public playgrounds, parks, libraries, all of our cultural institutions, really making a difference, building and supporting thousands of units of affordable housing, creating job and career pathways, supporting our small businesses and entrepreneurs in a real way, MWBEs, making sure we focus on job growth and economic development. Our message this year, the Bronx will strive and thrive in 25. We know we have challenges, but we are a long way from where we were 20 years ago. And I look forward to talking with everyone this evening about our platform and our work as your Bronx Borough President. Thank you for your time.
Thank you very much. By prior agreement, the first question will be presented to Councilmember Salamanca by Jovan Figueroa.
Thank you so much for joining us today. Welcome Bronx Borough President Vanessa Gibson and Council Member Rafael Salamanca Jr. It's a pleasure to have you both here for today's student-led candidate forum. The first question is for Councilmember Rafael Salamanca Jr. on affordable housing. The median asking price for rent in the Bronx is now more than $3,000 a month. Bronx residents will need to earn more than $130,000 annually to be in a safe threshold of paying 30% of their income in rent. But the Bronx's median household income is about $49,000, according to census data. This crisis of affordability is driving homelessness and food insecurity across the borough. What concrete steps will you take to increase affordable housing in the Bronx?
Thank you for that question. You know, when we're speaking about affordable housing, we can't just talk about it. We have to deliver it. In the time that I've been in office in the last 9 years, I mentioned that I've approved over 10,000 units of 100% affordable housing in the South Bronx. The way I focused my building housing has been kind of a mixed income model, where we set aside 15% of units for homeless families that are ready for independent living, set aside units for extremely low-income families, and also setting aside units for working-class families, because we want to keep families that are working here in their communities. In the last 8 years, there's been a study that my district alone has produced more housing than 21 council members combined. But I understand that the AMI structure, the way that the federal government has set it up, has been a problem. That has to do with the fact that the federal government is attaching all the outside counties, the area median incomes, to the New York City median income, which when you look at it, it says that New Yorkers are making an average of $97,000 a year, but they're actually not. What I would establish and what I would fight for is what's called a local median income. It's that when you're approving these projects, approving the AMIs based on what the average median income is for that local community. And that would be something that I would be an extremely advocate for as a Bronx Borough President.
Thank you very much, Borough President Gibson.
Affordable housing should be affordable for everyone, and it is a fundamental right that should be afforded to all New Yorkers. We have made great achievements and accomplishments in the Bronx, but more neighborhoods need to do more. We've built thousands of units of affordable housing, mixed use and mixed income, but we have to do more on pathways to home ownership. We have to build the middle class. We have to support working class families. What we're doing is a new effort called Future Forward Bronx. It's a partnership with the New York State Department of Labor. How do we address housing? By giving people jobs and careers, lifting up families in a real way when it comes to economic stability and generational wealth. We want our tenants to feel that they can continue to be a tenant, but they should have pathways to home ownership. And so in the City Council, we've supported thousands of units. We did the Jerome Neighborhood Plan in 2018. As Borough President, I've made recommendations on ULURP. I've invested millions of dollars of my capital dollars into housing projects and supportive housing. I have a NYCHA task force because you understand the importance of investing in public housing. And so affordable housing opportunities must come with a jobs plan, and that is what we're doing as Borough President, and we'll continue to support job and career pathways.
Thank you very much. Next question will be delivered by Eamon Dilawar, and it will be addressed to Borough President Gibson.
First of all, it is my immense honor and distinct pleasure to be blessed with the opportunity to serve as a panelist for this forum. Thank you so much for your esteemed and gracious presence. I am delighted, truly. This question is once again for Borough President Gibson. The Bronx consistently ranks at the bottom in New York State's 62 counties for health outcomes, with higher rates of asthma, diabetes, and heart disease. Environmental issues such as poor air quality and a lack of access to nutritious foods play a crucial role. What specific initiatives would you implement to promote public health in the Bronx, and how will you address environmental and structural factors that contribute to poor health outcomes?
Health is wealth and wealth is health, and we have to do better on health disparities and addressing them in a real way. We have a HIV/AIDS roundtable, a diabetes task force. We're doing a lot of work with health in hospitals and Metro Plus Health. We've hosted forums, symposiums, so many networking events to talk about screening for early detection for cancer, to reduce our HIV/AIDS infection rates, to deal with the opioid fentanyl crisis, to deal with substance abuse support and real ways at harm reduction and drug treatment programs, because it's not a crime to live with an addiction. We've also done a lot of work on food equity and food justice. Thousands of dollars for farmers markets and food pantry and soup kitchens and health bucks. That's important. The healthcare spectrum includes food equity, food justice, healthcare policies, Not 62, working with Bronx Health Reach, working with the Not 62 for a Better Bronx campaign. Building healthy families means access to healthier food. It means investing in farmers markets and food pantries. It means making sure that if you know better, you do better, and you have better options at food. That is how we address health disparities and move our borough forward in a healthier way.
Thank you very much. Same question for you, Councilmember Salamanca.
Yeah, thank you for that question. Before I became a New York City council member, I was a healthcare administrator. And my job was to ensure that families in low-income communities had access to healthcare regardless of their ability to pay. Healthcare disparities has affected my family personally. I'm an asthmatic. My 10-year-old is an asthmatic. I actually have to walk around with my asthma pump just in case I were to get an asthma attack. In my car, I have an asthma nebulizer in case my son also gets an asthma attack as well. And so knowing firsthand that I'm an asthmatic because of my environment, representing and living in the Hunts Point and Lower community where trucks are coming in and out of the community, they are polluting our air. And so what have I done to address the issue? Well, in my time in the council, I can say that I've allocated over $43 million to healthcare, $20 million to Urban Health Plan, $13 million to Lincoln Hospital, and another $10 million to Jacoby Hospital to ensure that they have the resources so that they can address our healthcare disparities in our communities. Something that I'm also extremely proud of, because I represent Hunts Point, is that just last week we spearheaded what's called the Blue Highway Initiative. This initiative will help bring in supplies via barge, and it would eliminate 1,000 truck traffics per month in the Hunts Point community. So healthcare is something that I'm extremely passionate about.
Thank you very much. Next question will be addressed to you, council member, from Eamon Dilawar.
The Bronx public schools unfortunately have some of the lowest student performance rates in reading and mathematics in New York City. Many schools are underserved, overcrowded, and face challenges with teacher retention and outdated supplies. What will you do as borough president to improve the quality of education in the Bronx? And how will you ensure that underserved schools receive equal funding and equal support?
Thank you for that question. Look, being a Bronx kid, being born and raised here, I was born in the 80s. I went to school in the 80s. I'm a high school dropout. I got my GED in the mid-90s. Actually, it took me 2 tries to get my GED. And then I was blessed that I was able to go work for an organization that believed in me and sent me to school. I was able to get my associate's degree at Monroe College. And I briefly came here to Lehman College, but I couldn't stay here permanently because I had to either work or go to school. It's a challenge. So what I've done as a New York City council member is that I've allocated over $35 million to my public schools, ensuring that they have technology and that they have the resources that they need. Going to an elementary school in my district When I graduated in 1990, it was extremely hot. When I went back in 2016 for graduation in that June, it was just hot then in 2016 as it was in 1991. So what did I do? I allocated $1.5 million so that they can have an HVAC system in there. The yard across the street was in rubble, just like when I went there in the 80s and the 90s. I allocated another $1 million there. I think that there has been major disinvestment in our public schools in the borough of the Bronx, and we need to give teachers the resources that they need. And how do you do that? You have to put your money where your mouth is and give them the resources by allocating funding.
Thank you. Borough President Gibson.
Thank you. Well, first we need to expand on New York City Reads, which is a program that focuses on literacy. We need to also look at financial empowerment and building teacher professional development, making sure we recruit and retain teachers in a real way, certified teachers. We need to make sure that every school is a community school and has an after-school program. We need to expand on school-based health clinics to deal with students' trauma and social emotional learning and healing spaces. In 3 years as borough president, over $50 million we've invested across the Bronx, from District 7 to District 12 and District 79 and District 75. We've looked at sensory equipment, transforming classrooms into living room spaces. We've supported speech therapy, occupational therapy, physical therapy. We've supported social workers because we need social workers in every space. We also need school nurses. We need to upgrade our schools, and that's what we've done from a tech perspective, science labs, learning labs. We need to also look at work-based learning programs. I will acknowledge the challenges we face, but I will always lift up our kids because our kids are amazing, ambitious, driven, determined, they're smart. All they need is an access and opportunity and doors to open so they can show us their skills and shine.
Thank you. Next question will be delivered to Borough President Gibson from Jovan Figueroa.
Okay, so this next question is on youth employment. In 2023, the Bronx had the highest youth unemployment rate in New York City, with nearly 25% of residents aged 16 to 24 out of work. Year after year, young people in the Bronx continue to strive in the face of fewer job opportunities, lower wages, and rising costs. What's your plan to create more job opportunities for the young people in the Bronx?
First, let me acknowledge that under my leadership in 3 years, we have been proud to work with so many stakeholders, including the Department of Labor, to lower the unemployment rate in our county from 26.6% during the height of COVID-19 to now 6.8%. We've been very focused and laser focused on jobs with intention and purpose. Youth employment, we also have to make sure we lift up young people. How do we do that? Pathways to college and careers, CTE, vocation programs, because it matters when they have construction jobs ready. Apprenticeship opportunities is so important because we need the electricians, the painters, the plumbers, the operating engineers, the lathers. We need those skills for today as well as tomorrow. Looking at youth employment and working with credible messengers and CBOs on the ground that serve youth, we've been hosting forums and bringing young people, connecting them, work-based learning, entrepreneurship. What if they want to own a business? So we should do that working with the Chamber of Commerce and our business improvement districts. We've done a lot of work and we will continue to do that because we have a Bronx Youth Council. We have My Brother's Keeper, My Sister's Keeper. We have young people in our office that are guiding our work and telling us what they need. And the most important social program we invest in is a job.
Okay, thank you very much. Council member, you're next.
Yeah, thank you for that question. You know, when our young people lack opportunities, our communities suffer. And we as elected officials have to provide them the resources and the opportunities so that they can grow. You know, in the council, I've been able to protect what's called the Summer's Youth Employment Funding when others, such as the administration, the mayor's office, has tried to cut it. I've championed what's called a Learn and Earn program so kids can earn a living. Something that I'm very proud of in my office, I have paid internships. I have 2 paid internships every year. Not too long ago, in the South Bronx, we were going to lose what's called the Madison Boys and Girls Club. The Madison Boys and Girls Club was an opportunity for adolescents and young kids to go in after school, an opportunity where they can do something and not be in the street. Well, they were going to close. We were concerned, and I was able to work with them, and they were able to bring in another organization called Common Point. Common Point came in. They not only offer opportunities for after-school programming and internships for the adolescents, but they were able to bring in what's called a vocational construction class. And the first class just graduated just last week. There were about 25 local kids that graduated. I gave them a little over $200,000 as part of the Youth Build program, which in essence, this Youth Build program, it helps adolescents who want other pathways other than going to college to come up with some type of career opportunities.
Thank you very much. Next question, Eamon Dilawar will address that question to the council member.
This next question is on the topic of guns and violence. 80 people have been shot and 71 incidents of gun violence recorded in the Bronx thus far in 2025. Last year, more than 438 people under the age of 18 were arrested for gun possession in New York City. How can you use the office of Borough President, if granted the opportunity to do so, to reduce violence, especially among young people in the Bronx?
Thank you for that question. Gun violence is personal to me. As a father raising a 10-year-old son here in the Bronx, I worry every day when my son goes to school, goes to the bodega, or goes to play baseball. And, public safety isn't about reacting to crime. In reality, it's about how do we prevent it. And I've partnered with the NYPD and community leaders to, number one, shut down illegal businesses that are fueling crime. But closing these hubs isn't enough. We must build opportunities. And so I spoke briefly earlier about how I fought to save the Madison Square Boys and Girls Club, which we helped launch the Common Point Bronx Youth Center, giving programs and opportunities so kids, we can get them off the streets and have them to do something that is fun. In this Common Point Youth Center, we opened up a swimming pool. Now they're providing lifeguard classes where kids can learn how to become a lifeguard. That's an opportunity during the summer. The city will hire them. I've been able to secure $12 million to rebuild the Hunts Point Recreation Center and $2 million to upgrade the baseball field lights. If you know Hunts Point, it's extremely dark. By putting these baseball lights, I lit up the community and provided an opportunity where you can have baseball and football very extremely late at night. And as a borough president, I will expand the Summer Youth Employment Mentorship Program, and I will work with my community-based violence interrupters because I believe in them. And I want to give a big shout out to Guns Down Life Up because they're in my district, and I believe in the work that they do. Thank you.
Thank you, Borough President.
Thank you. We must address the root causes of why young people engage in violence in the first place. So as Borough President and certainly as former council member, I was a part of the effort to create the New York City Crisis Management System, which is an interagency connection of city agencies that work with young people and CBOs, the credible messengers, the violence interrupters, the hospital responders, like Guns Down, Life Up, SOS, BRAG, RTG, Release the Grip, so many organizations that stop violence and keep young people safe. The answer are jobs and programs and recreation. Programs like NYPD Options, Summer Youth, Compass, Sonic, Beacon programs, making sure there are opportunities. We have to connect young people to these programs that give them responsibility and development. We have to support parents in a real way. We've done that as Borough President. We work with NYPD. We've given them funding. We know that the police presence is an important tool in public safety, but it's not the only. We have to also look at lighting and other opportunities to support young people, job training, work-based learning programs, CTE pathways, working with non-traditional employment for women, pathways to apprenticeship, hard hats to helmets. These are all programs that invest in youth. Instead of us being reactionary, we should intervene, we should prevent, and do our very best to love youth, give them support, keep them out of the criminal justice system, and give them opportunities to be positively engaged so they can be fruitful, productive members of our community, and we can love on them in a real way.
Thank you very much. Jovan Figueroa will address the next question to Borough President Gibson.
Okay, so the next question is on homelessness. More than 85,000 people lived in city shelters last week, according to the New York City Department of Homeless Services. That figure includes more than 31,000 children in shelters. Rising costs in the Bronx are making families homeless. What does a sustainable and just housing future look like in your perspective? And how will your leadership move the Bronx closer to it?
Thank you for the question. And it's unacceptable that any family in our city, in our borough, goes to bed at night in a homeless shelter. It is unacceptable. It is not what we stand for as a borough, and we must do better. Accelerating affordable housing, making sure it's really affordable, looking at protected classes like seniors and veterans and people with disabilities and runaway and homeless youth and foster youth and domestic violence survivors is an important component. Making sure that programs like FEPS and SEPS vouchers are real for families. Investing in public housing, because it's the largest affordable housing that we represent in the city of New York. We need to accelerate some of the tax incentive programs that drive the type of housing we see. We have to support supportive housing and also home ownership opportunities. We have to invest in our HDFCs. We have to give families real pathways to the middle class, and we have to meet them where they are. We have to reduce the redundancy and all of the red tape that families have to go through. The shelter system is not conducive to anyone's living in situation. And so we know the families are rent burdened, and that's why jobs are important, because we have to deal with stagnant wages, and we have to make sure that we deal with families and meet them from a language, diversity, cultural sensitivity perspective, and use all of our CBOs to really focus on the programs that matter, and most importantly, accelerate housing at the federal, state, and local level.
Thank you very much. Councilmember Salamanca, same question for you, sir.
Thank you for that question. Homelessness is something that I'm extremely passionate about. My council district has over 60 homeless shelters in the South Bronx, in the 17th council district. I have more homeless shelters than any of the other 50 council members that exist out there. But I'm also building the most affordable housing in the entire city of New York. What I did see was that as housing was being negotiated throughout the city and throughout the borough, there were many communities that were pushing back when we had conversations on setting aside homeless units for families that were ready for independent living. At the end of 2019, one of my most monumental bills that I was able to pass was called the 15% homeless set aside. And what this bill did was that it required every developer that was getting funding from the city, even if it's $1, that they needed to set aside 15% of their units for homeless families that were ready for independent living. You know, I'm very passionate about this because being a kid from the South Bronx, I had many friends that were in the homeless shelter system. When you go to my public school systems and go to my public schools, there are schools that 50% of the students that are there are in a homeless shelter. And they don't know when they leave school if they're gonna go back to that same bedroom that they had because they live in a transitional housing setting. So as borough president, I will continue that fight as I fought as a New York City council member to ensure that homeless families are getting an equitable and fair shot at affordable housing.
Thank you very much. Candidates, this will be the final question, and then we'll give each of you a chance to deliver a closing statement. And this question will be delivered by Eamon Dilawar.
This final question is on the topic of food insecurity.
It's addressed to Councilmember Salamanca.
Councilmember Salamanca.
Right.
According to the NYC Food Policy Center, 1 in 4 Bronx residents are food insecure, the highest rate in the city. Despite current food assistance programs, many neighborhoods continue to struggle due to limited access to affordable groceries, considering expenses have also risen. How will you use your position to support more community-based food programs in the Bronx and reduce long-term food insecurity?
Thank you for that question. You know, in the borough of the Bronx, too many families have to choose between eating healthy and running out of food earlier during the month, or eating less healthy so that they can get by. And no one should have to make that choice, honestly. I've fought to rebuild the Hunts Point produce market, strengthening food access and creating jobs. During COVID, we saw what happened. Our shelves were empty in the supermarkets. People were hoarding food because of the unknown. We did not know what was going to happen. Well, my office went into overdrive during COVID, and I can tell you that I work with my partners in the markets. I had over 65 food events, not only in my district, but throughout the entire borough of the Bronx because my colleagues needed help. My office fed over 60,000 individuals during COVID, and something that I'm extremely proud of. I've been able to allocate annually $150,000 for Health Bucks, which gives families an opportunity to purchase free or fresh produce at a discounted rate. And as borough president, my goal is to create a borough-wide food equity plan connecting farms, schools, and food pantries.
Thank you, Borough President Gibson.
Thank you. So I have a long history. I was in the city council for 8 years, so I gave out thousands of dollars in health bucks as well. And now as borough president, I've done the same, although I don't have the program money that I had in the city council. I believe in food hubs. I believe in urban agriculture. I believe in supporting hydroponic labs, where I was at a school in District 9 yesterday, and they're growing fruits and vegetables in their school. The best way to answer this is through the lens of young people, using young people who want to learn and think about food equity, because it's a justice issue. It's unacceptable that healthy food is inaccessible to so many of our families in the borough. Farmers markets should be all year round. We should build on the work that's been done by so many of our organizations, Common Pantry, Sharing Excess, Misfit Markets, Food Bank, so many others. We've given out thousands of pounds of food. 8 years in the city council. During the pandemic, I was out by myself, and now as borough president, we do food distributions all the time. But what are we also talking about, folks? We're talking about policy. How can we look at programs like EFAP and HIPNAP, which are city and state programs that face cuts? This is how we are feeling this on the ground. How can we look at farmers and urban agriculture as a point of education and career pathways so that we have access to food, making sure that it's available in our pantries and all of the organizations? So we've done that, and we will continue to do that, because the issue of food equity is around food justice as well.
Thank you very much. Candidates, we're ready now for closing statements. By prior agreement, Councilmember Salamanca, you get the first crack at it.
I want to thank...
And we'll do 90 seconds for
90
our time.
seconds. All right, great.
Well.
I want to thank the panelists, and I want to thank Lehman College for this opportunity to speak on my platform and the work that I want to do as a proud son of the borough of the Bronx. You know, the Bronx has always been resilient, but resilience isn't enough. Today, I ask you all, are your economics, or the economics of the borough of the Bronx, better than they were 4 years ago? For too many families, the answer is no. We deserve leadership that delivers, not just talks. Leadership that knows our neighborhoods, has fought for them, and has never given up. As your next Bronx Borough President, I will make sure that every Bronxite, whether you were born here, you moved here, or you're raising your family here, you will be able to continue to build a better future for you and your family. I thank you again for this opportunity. God bless you.
Thank you. And Ms. Gibson, you get the final word of the program.
Thank you. Thank you, Gary. And thank you, Lehman College, and to all of our incredible students. I am so proud of you, and I want you to keep shining and perfecting your craft. As the Bronx Borough President for the past 3 years, I have shown up time and time again, not just during election time, but all the time. I've knocked on doors. I've been with mothers and fathers that are mourning the loss of their children. I've been in schools and cultural institutions. I've invested millions of dollars. I've focused on policy, real results, policies, my task forces, my advisory councils, and all of the things that I do as borough president today will continue, and more. As I look across the borough, I see the hardworking family. I see the single parent. I see the college student. I see the abuelita. I see the bodeguero. I see the hardworking person that wants to make sure that they can care for their family, that they are stable, that they can retire in dignity, the older adult, the veteran, the person with a disability. I see all of that, and we've made a lot of progress. I acknowledge everyone that works hard in this borough, and I would never take that away from them. Are we perfect? Absolutely not. But this borough, during uncertain times in the White House, needs committed, consistent, dedicated, and steady leadership that has shown up for not just the last 3 years, but all of my life as a public servant. That is the leadership you get with us. We will continue to stand. We will continue to walk together, because we are better when we work together. And I look forward to continuing to serve as your Bronx Borough President. Thank you for your time tonight.
Thank you. We have reached the conclusion of our program. How about a nice round of applause for our candidates, Rafael Salamanca Jr. and Vanessa L. Gibson. I know that the candidates are very proud of the Lehman students who participated here. As a Lehman alum, I may be prouder than even you. Thank you so much to Eamon Dilawar, Jovan Figueroa, and all of the Lehman journalism students who are here. We thank professors Eileen Markey and Michael Clancy, Jim Carney and Tom O'Hanlon, thank you for your leadership as well. Candidates, while you might not agree on everything, I know you will all agree with us that every eligible voter should vote in the primary on June 24th. Let's remember to do that, folks. If you need more information on any of the candidates in any of the races in the Bronx, visit vote.nyc. So in conclusion, we will thank Lehman College, the Department of Journalism and Media Studies, the Lehman Multimedia Center, who provided the tech for this, and of course, Bronxnet TV for presenting this forum on BronxTalk tonight. Don't forget, please vote on June 24th. Good night.